Hi, my name is Jasmine Sadler. I'm the dancing rocket scientist. I'm a ballerina and an aerospace engineer. Hear that sound up there? That's an aircraft engine. So that's where all the power in an airplane comes from. So it's not necessarily the airplane that's flying it, it's the engines, those big round things on the side of the airplane. So that's where you get all of the power, all of the energy. That's how you turn on the lights inside. That's how you turn on the air conditioning. All of that routes through those big round things on the side and give the people inside safety and ability to get from one destination to another. As an aerospace engineer, I was one responsible for designing some of those aircraft engines that are out there. So actually designing how the flow of air goes from the outside of the plane through the inside of the plane. And so when we talk about air circulation, filtration, all those kinds of things, especially to make it safe during things like this, times like this where people can be sick, those are all really important to have those coming from the engines that are on the side of the airplane. Example of an aircraft engine first engine test. So this was one from General Electric. I was an intern there, so when I was 19 years old, I actually helped design some parts of this engine. And so this is when it's being tested in a test cell. So I also became a test engineer as part of my engineering career. So this one in particular is looking at water and ice and different things that are kind of thrown inside the engine. So things that you want to test before people are actually on it and before it's actually hooked up to a whole airplane. So you can simulate exactly what that would be. And then the main thing about a flight engine test is that you want to make sure that the plane can land safely. One thing in particular about aerospace is that people are flying on these planes, and so the more people that are flying on the planes, the more regulations you have to make sure everybody can land safely. So that's what you do when you test an engine, is making sure that the plane can land safely. It's not about necessarily saving the engine, it's about saving the people's lives. These are a type of airfoil, and so it's actually inside of an aircraft engine in that compressor section when the air is flowing through. And so the way that it's shaped is on purpose so that you could actually squeeze the air as it flows through. So there's all types of engineering all around us. So right here, we have a crane. I think it's actually cleaning the artwork on there. So this is how we can incorporate STEAM into everything that we do: science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Acoustics are such a cool thing. The airplane that was flying from over here, it actually sounded like it was over there. And so those are sound waves, and so they can actually bounce off different things. And so when you have buildings, when you're designing a theater, when you're at a football game, all of those things are important. And so you have engineers that actually look at the sound waves and how those are distributed. So I went to the University of Michigan, where our football games had 111,000 people at each football game. And while I was there, they actually redesigned the stadium. So instead of all of the noise bouncing out into the city, it kind of bounced into the field. So it's really cool when you have engineers that can solve problems like that. 111,000 people all cheering for a football game, but you actually have people living around that city as well. So even just like this, when you have airplanes flying over and people are living here, you have to think about those things and you solve those problems.
So we hear it, but exactly.
There are several different applications for mechanical, aerospace, industrial engines that are out there. So here is an example of one. It's an oil and gas turbine, and so it kind of has the flow. They all kind of work the same though. So you have an inlet section where you bring in the air or bring in the power initially, and then you have the compressor section that squeezes the air and increases the pressure, and so it's really, really tight. And then you light it on fire. So you have a bomb in there. So there are several different fuel injectors, putting fuel inside, so putting gas like for your car. And then you light it on fire, which is all rocket technology right there. And so the point of that is to get it really hot. So you have that air that's really, really tight, then you get it really, really hot, and then you can connect it to a turbine section, which connects to a generator or a pump. So there's several different things that you can do, different types of engines that are out there. There's some aircraft engines, mechanical engines, car engines. So all of those have very similar technology. Go check them out. Can you guess what this is? Whoa. So there's a plug. So what do you usually need a plug for? Electricity. So electricity, which sometimes you might need it for heat. So what do you think this is? I'm sure some of you are guessing like a toaster oven, something to bake a cake in. Any of those ideas? What else do you think it is? Well, this is one of my tools, my engineering fantastic things that I have that makes my life easier every day. So let me show you what it is. What? It's a hair dryer. Let's see.
Hold on.
This picture is my high school AP Calculus teacher, Miss Vasquez. And so this was a time where I realized that I was pretty gifted in math, but then she also confirmed it. I actually caught one of her mistakes in class and said, you know, I think I'm getting something a little different than what you put up there. I got that same part, but then mine was a little different on this part. And she took the time after class to come up to me and talk to me about how graceful I was in my approach and how just leading the class through that whole learning experience was meaningful. And I'm the CEO and visionary of the STEAM Collaborative. It's my own company that I started 6 years ago, and it really came out of my love for math and math tutoring and wanting everybody to love math as much as I did. And so to be an engineer or to be in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, it's really important that you're strong in math and strong in science, but math is really the gateway to a lot of things in STEM because that's how you prove your answer is the right answer. So I can say that these columns are really tall, and all of these columns are really tall around me, but if I use math, then I can say these columns are this height, a certain number of feet, and they need to be a certain circumference and a certain area and a certain volume, and all of those things are really important. That's why math is important when you're trying to be an engineer and solve problems. The STEAM Collaborative works with informal education programs, so after school programs, museums, theaters even, to bring STEM and arts together, science, technology, engineering, and math, alongside our artistic endeavors. So as a dancer and an engineer, I bring both of those things together to solve problems in a more creative way. So these are my point shoes. So everybody's always very curious about how dancers can dance on point or dance on our toes, and so it is actually very hard in here. So this is kind of paper mache, but you know, a lot of different technology that actually goes into point shoes, and so even an engineer can solve a problem and making these shoes more comfortable one day. So think about that. But these are pretty hard. So partially it's the shoe, and then partially it's your body being able to be lifted off of your toes, because physics and gravity is going to hold you down no matter what. So the more you can lift out of your feet, out of your knees, then that's how you're able to at least feel lighter on your toes. Actually, the toe pads that go inside of the point shoe. So just a little bitty pad to make it a little more comfortable. There's an elastic here to keep it on my ankles. And then slide on the shoe. All right, ready to dance? Hi everybody, this is my dog Julio. He's 11 years old. I had him since he was 10 weeks old. Because he's 11 years old, but in dog years, they say you multiply it by 7. So 11 times 7 is 77. So even though he looks like a little puppy, he's 77 years old in dog years.
What up, Julio?
Everybody stay curious and keep on sciencing.